Hey everyone, my name's Georgia and this is my first video on my channel, so welcome. This channel is to raise awareness and show my story. So let's get in because it's going to be quite long, so just bear with me. I'm Georgia, I'm 15 and I have got 3 rare conditions. The first one is SMA syndrome, where my 2 main arteries in my third part of my duodenum is at the wrong angle and compressed, so meaning no food can get down. That caused nutcracker syndrome, where my left renal vein is compressed, and then I've got endocarditis, where it's an infection in my heart, but I'll get into that more in the video. So in 2018, I struggled with constipation. I was on Movco, I was on meds, and nothing was working. I've had enemas, I had all sorts. Name it, I had it. And sorry I say and a lot, just bear with me. This is very hard for me to talk about, but I'm going to talk about it anyway because it really needs to be talked about. And this is my story at the end of the day, and it needs to be raised awareness for. This channel is probably not going to go anywhere, but if I don't try, you'll never know. So in 2018, I was struggling with eating. I ate perfectly fine and I was throwing it up. I could not keep it down, which was very frustrating because I couldn't keep anything down and I was losing weight a lot. People thought it was an eating disorder. My family knew it wasn't, but one of my teachers locked me in a room and said, "You're not leaving until you ate." And I was sick. I just couldn't keep anything down. We went to the Panda unit, they would do bloods and say you're fine, so send you home. Because obviously SMA syndrome, you can't tell by bloods. So it was in 2018 Boxing Day. So on the 26th of December, I was really struggling. Every time I go to the bathroom, I was bleeding out my bum really, so much. It was really concerning. So my mum said, "Right, come on, we're going to the hospital. It's so much, it's not normal." And I couldn't eat, I was throwing up, I couldn't poo, it was just quite a lot. And the only reason the hospital took us on is because of the bleeding. So I was in hospital for a week. Over New Year, I had a tube down my nose, which is an NG tube, so where it goes all the way in your nose, down your throat and in your tummy. I will try and insert a picture now. If I don't, then I'm sorry. I'm new to this editing stuff, so I'll try. I'm cringing in my head. So I had a tube down my nose and they put Clean Prep down. Clean Prep is a medicine what's supposed to make you go to the bathroom. And I'm on it right now, actually. I will show you later. It is just... Clean Prep is this clear liquid and it goes down a tube. Normally an NG, but I have a tube in my tummy, which I'll show you later. So I had that and then they sent me home, but they sent me home with an appointment to have a camera up my bum and down my throat. So that was in 2 days. So we had that, we was waiting for the results, and then I got admitted back to hospital because I was losing weight rapidly. It was really concerning. I couldn't keep anything down. I was in so much pain. It was just horrible. And my mum thought, no, this is not my child. There's something seriously wrong. So we went to the hospital again and they kept me in, they put me on IV fluids, I couldn't keep anything down, drinks, food, anything. And doctor said, "You've got an eating disorder." So obviously they got the dietitian down and was like, the dietitian just eat. It's not that simple. I was trying to eat. This is where it upsets me just a little bit because I have not got an eating disorder whatsoever. The nurses watched me eat a Mackey's breakfast and I couldn't keep it down. And I didn't put my fingers down my throat, I didn't do anything, I just was throwing up a lot. So then the next day they came back and said, "Your camera said you've got an ulcer, so that's why you're bleeding." They started me on suppositories where you just stick them up your bum and they're supposed to help you stop bleeding. It's like an enema, but instead of the stuff what makes you go to the bathroom, And then I had a barium swallow. So it's where you drink this stuff and it's dye. So when you're having an x-ray, it shows all your tummy. And then they found, the day later, they came back and said, you've got SMA syndrome. I had no idea what it is. My mum didn't have any idea what it is. The doctors didn't know what it is. They knew a little bit, but nothing major, which was concerning. I Googled, which, trust me, Google doesn't know anything. Don't Google, please. It makes yourself feel worse. It said I was going to die in 2 years. That is not the case, so just don't Google. Some Google is right, some Google is wrong, and it just gets into your head, and it's horrible. So, to confirm the SMA syndrome, we had a CT angio, which is a scan, and it is of your tummy. They put dye in your cannula, and it kind of does, like, blows it up again. So I had that and said, yeah, you've got SMA syndrome. So I had an NG down my nose still, because they put more clean prep on me the second time I was in hospital. If I forget little bits, I'll try and add them. I'm so sorry, my story is a lot, so I keep forgetting it little bits. So, and then they was put in Ensure Compacts, which is little shakes, and they've got nutrients, all your vitamins, everything you need. And my tummy would not tolerate them, so I'd been sick. And they said, if your mum learns how to do it, then you can go home on the feeds. So my mum learned how to do it, and I was just throwing up because my body couldn't tolerate it. So my mum said, right, we're not putting any more down, like, we need a doctor. So Camilla, one of the doctors, she is amazing. Love her so much. So one of the doctors, she used to pat my back, say, Jorja, you're okay, like, just get it all out. She was amazing. This made the hospital experience 10 times better. Like, it made it more bearable because she was so amazing. I used to talk to her, like, we text each other all the time. She is amazing. So if you're watching this, I love you. And yeah, so the feeds were going in an NG, and then the next day they put an NJ in. So it still goes in your nose, goes down your throat, all the way into your tummy, bypasses your tummy and goes into your duodenum or your jejunum, one of them two. So it goes into there and you get fed through there so you can't be sick. That was working a lot, and I got sent home on the feeds after being in the hospital a month. And then, because I was being sick so much, I was sent home on all these meds to help my tummy. I was still being sick. It would make the tube come out, so it would stay in on my nose and coil in my mouth because of the retching. So I would keep having to come into the hospital, which was not great. And then one night I could not stop retching. My mum took me into the hospital and they said, right, we're going to keep you in for a couple of days and we're going to do the feeds and see how you are. Well, my body had different ideas and my tube came out again. So they took it out, scrapped it and said, we'll start again in the morning. So they started again in the morning and it came out again. These NJs really hurt. NJs, they really hurt. They're not the nicest. My experience with a tube down my nose wasn't the greatest. When I would go out, you would put your feed in a backpack. I got stares all the time. People would stare at me. It was not nice. I had a lot of comments. My mum would not tolerate it one single little bit, which, you know, is right. I'm her daughter, you know, she tries to protect me as much as she can. And she don't want anyone to take the mick out of me, which I don't want anyone to take the mick out of me. But I'm so embarrassed and upset that I don't say anything. So after all this, I had a tube the next day. We tried 3 times, it just came out. So they said, Jorja, you're going to have to go for an operation. You're either going to get Hickman line, I'll try and show a picture again, and to start TPN. So it's a tube what goes here and it goes into your hat and you get your food. Or you get a peg which goes into your tummy and it gives you feed, which I had both, by the way, lol, spoiler alert. And so we were deciding which one I was going to get, and they tried to do the feed at first, like the peg. So they put the peg in. I was supposed to be in theatre for 2 hours and I was in there for 4 hours, and yeah. So what they were trying to do is they were trying to put the tube in. They wanted to put a disc one in so they could drain my tummy. In the fluid in my tummy was bursting out in theatres. There was quite a lot of it. So they put a drainage bag on, and then they wanted to put an extension so it'd be like an NJ and it would go in my jejunum but just be in my belly. So like the tube would go from my belly to my jejunum, and they could not get that in. So a couple of days later, after I came out of theatre, we tried to put it in an x-ray. It worked after a couple of hours, got it in, and then it wasn't very steady. My duodenum is so big, so it rejects it. It's like, no, go away, and rejects it, and it comes out. Sorry for the hand movement. I'm very nervous right now, and I hope I'm telling every single little detail without forgetting. This is 2 years of information. So the tube came out 3 days later. The doctor didn't listen to me, and then that night it came out and it was very painful. They had to give me very strong painkillers because it was so painful. The next day he came saying, Georgia, right, we're going to try an NJ again, and if that doesn't work, you're getting Hickman line and going on PN. So I was losing weight each day, and it was quite a lot. I was skin and bone. You can see my bones, you can still, but not as much. I'll try and insert a picture, so if that triggers anyone, skip past. And the NJ didn't work. They put their Hickman line in a couple of days later, well actually the next day, and I started TPN the day after that. So TPN is your food, so it's like fats, vitamins, fluids, all your things you would get. So yeah, and I was on that till March, till June, the start of June. So the start of March till the middle of June. And throughout that, I was facing challenges every day. I still couldn't eat, and I was in the hospital, but I could go home through the day and then come back at night for the TPN. I was on meds. I couldn't stop being sick. I was on anti-sicknesses, cyclozine. That was my lifesaver. It would stop me feeling sick instantly, but it had some nasty side effects to it. And then in May we had an all different story, and that is where the Nutcracker syndrome appeared. So the Nutcracker syndrome is my left renal vein in my kidney is compressed, something like that. Hopefully I'll put a little screenshot of what it is, so if I'm explaining it wrong then you can see. So I had really bad pain, and my mum's at work. She works in a pub, so she comes back. She stays with me through the day, and my nana stays with me, and then comes back at midnight. She rushed because I was in pain. The parents were helping me. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. It was that bad. They got a doctor straight away. I was on IV morphine, and then the pain was coming every day for months and months and months, and now I've got chronic pain. But I'm off the IV morphine. I'm on oxycodone now. So that was happening, but then they were discussing the operation, which is a duodenal bypass. That's the only thing they can do for SMA syndrome. And then they decided not to do it, and I could eat. Yes, I couldn't eat a lot, but I could eat. And then they sent me home just in time for my birthday, and that was the best present I could ever ask for. I was so thankful. It's amazing. I was so happy. Only if I knew what was going to happen, but you just take time as it goes. So I then ended up going home, no feeds, no nothing, just eating, and I couldn't eat a lot. So I was still throwing up, still couldn't put weight on, and then it got bad. I was in and out, and in July they had to put the feeds on, which was totally fine. They done the ensures, my body couldn't tolerate that, so they sent me home after a day of them, and then a couple of days later I had to come in and be put on Osmolite 1.0, and that was for 24 hours, and I had a couple of bottles a day, and that was helping me. So we were just carrying on as we were going. We were having regular community nurses appointments. They would change my dressing, flush my line and things like that, and check I was okay. We would have appointments in the hospital, dietitian. I would get weighed every week, and then this is where it changes again. One day I had a psychotherapist appointment, so I came home from that, and then we was putting my feedback on, because normally I take it with me but I didn't that time, and my button started being funny. So we went to hospital, and then they decided to put an NJ. So I needed an NJ button. So, well, not an NJ, but I needed a GJ button. So where it goes into my duodenum again, because the extension wouldn't stay. So they went to the theatre, they put the button in, and then I went home. A couple of days later, I came back from the psychotherapist appointment, and the button moved and came out of place. It was beeping at me, it wouldn't work, so we had to go to the hospital. And the hospital said to me, Georgia, you have to go on TPN again. So that was very difficult. I can just remember the pure no, I don't want to stay in hospital, no, because I know what to expect. And at home I was still having chronic pain, but I was having oxycodone, and that was helping my pain. I started school in September, and I was only able to make 4 days of school, and then I ended up back in hospital again, and the feeling of pure guilt, and I felt like I was letting myself down, not being able to go to school, and like I'd done something wrong because I was on TPN again. Anyway, days were passing, I went back on TPN, I was going home through the day, and that was good. We were just carrying on as normal, we were just doing it, adjusting again, and I'll go home through the day, and then after a couple of months had passed, my pain got worse, had to be on more oxycodone, and I was having a really bad day, and just wanted to go home, but I was too poorly. I got refeeding syndrome again, so where you've not been fed for ages and then you get fed again and your body reacts. So I had to have a lot of infusions, and that saved me. It saved me from being on HDU. I got that twice, but I forgot to say that I got that in March as well as September. So, sorry, my tube is hurting at the moment, and got my chronic pain, but I can't have anything at the moment, so I'm just dealing with it. I don't look like I'm in pain, but because I'm used to being in pain, it's just a normal thing for me. So it's getting harder now. I remember one day I was having a really bad day, and my mum was hiding something from me for my own good. The doctors, when my mum came back from work, I was with my nana, the doctor said, Georgia, speak to your mum. So I did, and she thought it's time to tell me, so it's only 14 days till. And my mum said, Georgia, you're having your operation, the one they've been umming and ahhing about for months. And my mental health was, I didn't want to hurt myself or anything, but it was a bit crap. When I got food, I was perfectly fine in January, but it was a bit crap. I mean, because I've been through so much, it's going to be crap. And if I miss things out, I'll add them in videos and that, but it's quite a lot. I don't want to make the video too long, because you're not going to want to watch it. So anyway, she told me that, and it was a lot. So she took me out for a day. Me, my nana and my mum went to Manchester, we went to town, got a few things. Just had a bit of a girly day. And yeah, we came back, and that day I was really sad. But I had a good day with my chronic pain. I only had my oxycodone once, which is a big deal for me, because I've not had a good day like that for ages. So the day before my theatre arrived, we went to the Christmas markets because I won't be able to after near Christmas time. My operation was on the November 14th, 2019. It's nearly been a year actually. We're in September now, so in a couple of months it would have been, like in less than a month, it would have been a year. So that's good, and it's 50-50 chance it was going to work, so it was the nerves. The night before, we got moved on the surgical ward. We got everything ready for it, and then I went down in the morning. Came back out 6 hours later. I was in quite a lot of pain. Days were passing, I was still on TPN, and I couldn't eat anything. I was on the drainage bag again. Throughout all this, I was still draining my tummy. A couple of days later, they stopped the drainage. They wanted me to drink a little bit, and then the time came where they wanted me to try and eat. It was soft foods, but it's really hard for me because I was scared I was going to be sick. And I could eat and I wasn't sick, and it was a dream come true. But I started being sick again, and it didn't last long. The operation, in my eyes, it was 50-50 chance it was going to work, and the operation in my eyes has worked. I'm better than I was, but I'm still not 100%. So I'd say it's about 85% not worked. Because I'm off TPN, I'm just on feeds now. But this time they brought me home on my feeds. I'll explain feeds and things like that in the end of this video and in next video. If you've got any questions, I'll do a Q&A, and at the end of the video I'll tell you what this channel I'm gonna do on it. I was on feed, I went home a week before Christmas. I was so happy. Had Christmas with my family. It was amazing. Still not 100%. I still had no energy. I was still on all my meds. I was on even more meds now. But I went back to school. I was at school for a couple of weeks. It was half term, and I was at work with my mum, and I was poorly. So I went home because my mum was doing relief, so our boss was on holiday, so we were staying in her flat. So I went home and was with my nana because my nana lives with us. We lived together, me, my mum and my nana. So it was me and my nana at home, and I was really poorly. It looked like I had tonsillitis. I had a temperature. The community nurse had seen, because they can't flush your line if you've got a temperature. So it got that bad. I couldn't keep anything down. I was so poorly. I had my tongue was a different colour, my glands, my temperature. I just felt like crap. So we went to the hospital, and they said you've got a temperature of 40, and they didn't send me to the hospital. They just gave me ibuprofen, which we've been having at home. And sorry about that, that is just one of my things beeping. Surprise, surprise. So I went to the hospital. It was just for an appointment, but they couldn't do it because it was weekend, so we had to go to the Panda unit. So we went there, blah blah blah, and then a couple of days later my mum came home. I was really poorly that morning. My mum said she woke me up to give me my tablets, and she felt like at my head, and she was okay. She checked my temperature, 44.3. We rang an ambulance. I couldn't move, and I was really poorly, so we went to the hospital. I was thinking I was only be there a week or so. They took my central line out, and I was still having temperatures. They were going to do clean prep to sort the poo out, and they didn't end up doing it because they found something else. They were still so confused after a couple of days after having theatre, taking that out. They didn't know what was wrong. So my consultant in gastro shares a office with my heart consultant, which we didn't know at the time. So that was handy. And he listened into the conversation when my gastro consultant said, what do we do? And he said, have you checked her heart? So he said, oh no, that's a good idea. So they checked it, thinking nothing of it. And this is where my endocarditis comes in. So my endocarditis I got from my Hickman line. Endocarditis is an infection in your heart. It's really dangerous. And I was on antibiotics. I couldn't leave. I was on bed rest. If you're stressed or get angry, it makes it worse. I was on heart monitor. I was having temperatures daily. It was horrible. Heart surgery was on and off the cards. After a month, I ended up getting so I got a PICC line in for antibiotics, which goes in the same place in your heart, it's just in your arm. So then I ended up getting transferred to Alder Hey Hospital to have heart surgery, and I started my period, which you can't have heart surgery if you're on your period because of the aspirin, heparin and all the stuff in theatre, because that can make you bleed out, and because you're on bypass as well, so it wasn't safe. So I was there for a week and they said, right, you're having theatre the next day because my period was finished. But then they got an emergency case, so they checked it and seeing if I was an emergency, and it was small. They said it was gone, but it wasn't. It was small, so we got sent home. It was the best news ever. I was still on antibiotics. I had antibiotics at home. The community nurses would come every day. It was amazing. Best news ever. Me and my mum was on top of the world, and my nana. So we thought that was kind of the end of it, which it wasn't. But you know, you can want. I ended up having temperatures again, so getting admitted back to the hospital, and they were gonna do heart surgery again. So we were finding doctors, and because this hospital can't do it, they have to go to a different one, but Alder Hey were being funny about it, because Alder Hey said it was gone when it wasn't. It was clearly not gone, and I'm still admitted all the time. But we got the best news the other day. It's gone! Yay! I'm so happy. The endocarditis is gone. He said they could be still a little bit there hiding, but it's gone for the most part. I'm still having a couple temperatures, and I'm so happy that it's gone. I've still got endocarditis and nutcracker syndrome. I mean, SMA syndrome and nutcracker syndrome. But yeah, it's gone. I'm in hospital this time for clean prep because I haven't gone to the bathroom. I'm having it through my tube. I will show you my tube. Very difficult for me. So this is a G-tube. Normally it's a button, but it keeps coming out at the moment. So this is it, my little friend. It's a connection. So this is my feed. And this is the clean prep. This is where it goes through. So these are the machines. That's the clean prep, the clear one, and this is my feed. And yeah, so that is probably going to be it for this video. I probably missed a couple bits out, but I will add little bits in and things like that. This channel, I am going to do vlogs, so I'm going to vlog what it's like to have SMA syndrome, nutcracker syndrome and things like that, and do videos. And if you've got any questions, just ask down in the question box, comment section, in the comment section. And yeah, so I will add videos and pictures if I can do. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, like, share with your friends, and let's hope this raises awareness and helps, even if it helps a couple people and raises awareness, that will make my day. Anyway, hope you have a good day. Bye.